Hello, I'm Merzendi, and welcome back to War Thunder. So, last time I showed you the mid-tier German tanks, and I was really quite awful with them. So, this time, let's have another attempt with the British tanks. It may be that I'm going to be equally as awful, but I have a little more to talk about with British tanks than I have with German tanks, and I do actually have somewhere to progress. All of those German tanks I have pretty much fully leveled as far as they can, and it will take me several matches to come to a proper... to reach a new German tank that I might be able to show you. But given that the Royal Armour was only recently released, I can show you that right away. So, let's... lest I forget, I wanted to equip the Shot Mark 1 AP/T rather than the APCBC/T. As the last match I showed you with British tanks, my Valentine was... well, I was entirely incapable of piercing enemy armour. And in a situation such as that, there's really not much I can do to be successful. So now, I've equipped my more penetrative shell, and we will hopefully have a little more success. So, this is the shell the Valentine starts with, and yes, it does suffer a little from the general problem with British shells in that it does not have a proper explosive charge. However, it is better to have no explosive charge and penetrate the armour than have a high explosive charge and not penetrate it at all. At least with regard to War Thunder tank battles. If at any point War Thunder decides to include infantry, I will most likely reconsider.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
But until that point, there really is no purpose in that. So, here we are. An opposed British tank that was removed rather quickly. The Crusader Mark II really is somewhat weak, but that weakness doesn't stop it from being generally sufficiently efficient. And here is an AA tank that, once I've crested this hill, I mean to eliminate in totality. There we are. That tank is eliminated, and now a Panzer IV-F1. The Panzer IV-F1 is not exactly a powerful anti-tank tank. Its gun is still much more suited to combating infantry than enemy armour. But it is better suited to fighting than earlier Panzer IVs. The Panzer IV-C especially was only capable of engaging infantry, whereas the F1 can engage both, as you just saw that. It was the one that managed to get the killing blow on me. Yes. Although but that particular shot was only successful because it managed to hit my... I'm sorry. Hit my driver's viewport. That's a little unfortunate. My death has now meant that Point B has very little in the way of armor on our side guarding it. And it seems that an opponent has fulfilled the mission objective by eliminating the leader of our reinforcement group. Our reinforcement group is purely AI controlled, and so is the enemies. But you get a certain amount of points towards the war score, which you can see in the very top of the screen by successfully eliminating them. Well, this little git has managed to perform sufficient evasive maneuvers, but my... Oh, you arsehole! He specifically bombed me! That really is a massive dick move, man. But, hey, I managed to get the revenge medal by bringing him down in return. And safe and sound. But unfortunately, the Crusader Mark II I had hoped to use for a while has been taken out, so instead I'm going to have to bring in an AA tank, the T-17E2. Now, I've shown you this before a little in the video I did between... well, yes, but I showed off tanks on the firing range. But it really isn't that great. The only serious reason I'm using it is because I really just don't have much of a choice. Now, at this point we can see with absolute certainty that we've lost the battle. That kind of sucks balls. In a bad way. We on our side don't really want to suck balls, and we have kind of been forced to. So, yes. As we can see there, my tank, a sufficient quantity of my tank crew has been killed by that rocket tank, and I have been burnt to death. So, we have lost in totality. I'm just going to pull out of that mission rather than watching it to the end. Though, as we can see from his little pop-up, the end came immediately afterwards. That's a little bit of a shame. So, now... I think what I'm going to do is switch over these tanks for aircraft, and then I will show you a little bit of War Thunder aerial combat. So, I'll be back in a few minutes. And we're back. So I've switched over my tanks for aircraft, predominantly the reserve aircraft, and one British bomber that I got in that I managed to win in a pack when the Royal Armour was being rolled out, the DB7. Sadly, as far as I'm aware, not an Aston Martin. If at any point Gaijin wants to add the Aston Martin DP7 to War Thunder, I will be very happy to feature it, even if it isn't the James Bond version and is simply completely unarmed. So, let's go straight to a battle. Now, I'd normally expect to go in at the absolute lowest range, but because I have the DB7, I am technically being considered in the second range, which does make me think I should perhaps remove it and try with just the lowest range. Especially since all of these British aircraft are entirely unupgraded. I have never engaged in an aerial battle with them before, as I'm sure you can tell by the fact that they are exclusively biplanes. If I had anything more than biplanes just to showcase, I would be very happy to, but I really don't. So, let's just go from left to right, I suppose. The Fury Mark I biplane. Now, one thing I do have to particularly complain about in War Thunder is that your longevity in aerial battles is exclusively down to the number of slots you have. In a ground battle, you can only spawn 3 times. After that, you're eliminated. But in an aerial battle, you can spawn as many as you like. So, if, as I have with my German aircraft, you have several slots, in like 5 or 6 slots, in fact, you can spawn in 5 or 6 times. If you only have 3, you're only spawning in 3 times. It really is just that biased in the aerial modes. I appear to have someone on my tail already. Well, there we are. One pursuer eliminated. And there we are. I've been set on fire, and in the biplane, fire is immediate death. But I do have a backup, so I will be able to come back in that. But let's first switch to our DB7. As that is an actual bomber, we may be able to accomplish something. And, oddly enough, it is a bomber with a forward-mounted gun. Very few of the bombers featured in War Thunder have forward guns. A few do, but they really are in the minority, so let's try to eliminate this German bomber, controlled by Playslager. Oh dear, I think I have accidentally collided with him, as I was unable to slow down sufficiently, we may have hit him with our right wing. And that really is just quite a problem, as we now cannot properly orient ourselves. Our left engine is essentially disabled. So, here we are, we're now coming roughly towards a proper orientation. We can drop our quartet of bombs towards this base and now head up to see what aircraft we can engage with our sideways flight. Perhaps if we are especially lucky, we might even manage to take something out like this. I would be extremely surprised if we were, but who knows? There is this PBY Katarina, controlled by Leadfather 221, that is a reasonable target, though I am at such a distance that I really just do not have any guess of where I should be shooting. Oh dear. It appears that I am going to successfully miss this cliff, which I'm extremely pleased about. I would normally expect to have hit a cliff like that if my aircraft were this badly damaged. But I am able to be not completely inert for once while I'm recording. Correctly oriented. There we are. 4 more bombs onto this base, and yes, it looks like all 4 hit. And yes, that base has now been destroyed. And yes, we have accomplished victory. And we have an achievement, Firestarter. Destroy 30 players' vehicles by setting them on fire. And first flight, which I believe is because that is my first air battle in British planes. It may not be the case, but I'm fairly sure that it is. Given that we have 10 more minutes left in this episode, well, we've been running for 20 minutes, I think I'm going to make my War Thunder specials 30 minutes. Or a little more, perhaps. I am going to be doing my very best to find another battle. It may be that I won't find another battle, that could be the only aerial battle that was running. That's probably not the case. That would be really, really strange if that were the case. But it might be. So, here we are. Another battle already. So let's start with our Nimrod. I'm not sure what the actual gameplay difference is between the Nimrod and the Fury, or even the Fury and the Fury Mark 1. Nor am I particularly knowledgeable about the historical difference, to be quite honest. Though, I'm fairly certain the Nimrod was primarily employed from British aircraft carriers and the Fury from ground positions. It may perhaps be that that is, in fact, the only substantial difference. The Nimrod was simply a Fury with rear wheel removed and a little hook added instead for the ability to land on aircraft carriers. Here we are, a Yak-1, a Soviet warplane that I have no serious chance of keeping up with. But my bullets do. And this HE-1112, a German fighter, I can very well keep up with. Though it appears it has now been shot down, or bumped. And there we are. We've managed to either finish it off or fire a few shots at it out of spite. This TBD-1, I'm not sure of the origin of it. I am engaging now. There we are, our left wing has been cut loose, so... Unfortunately, I wasn't able to bail out quite fast enough. So now let's try our Fury Mark II. It's equipped with a pair of 7.7mm Vickers, like all of the other British Reserve planes. And also, like the Nimrod, it doesn't appear to have a rear wheel. In that case, I am completely perplexed as to the slightest difference between the Fury and the Nimrod. One thing that is nice about arcade mode is that you can just slow your engine down to stalling point without any serious risk. Oh. Damn it! That... Unfortunately, we just had a collision. Collisions really are just very unprofessional, very amateurish, to be honest. I'm really quite disappointed in myself for having performed a collision. But essentially, one should not play chicken in an aircraft. Okay, there we are. Aerial battle, but... yes, I think I will go in for a German aerial battle to show you how a little higher tier aircraft can perform. As we can see, the load times are a lot faster for the higher tier aerial battles. I assume this is because the people that will be awake at the time I'm currently recording are much more likely to be playing higher tier. I am recording at 5 AM UK time, which is to say midnight Eastern time. And you may not be, but I am somewhat amused by the chat log that just appeared, so just bringing it up again for you in case you missed it initially. And let's... well, he's basically accounted for, isn't he? Let's try to intercept this P-51. Although I appear to be under fire, so... there we are. P-51 successfully intercepted, and a Yak 9K is more or less on my tail. There we are. He has crashed. So let's move across here and see what other aircraft we engage. I'm very, very sorry if this causes any sort of dizziness. I should probably put up a warning for this episode. But it may cause dizziness. Ah! Damn it. I thought I'd managed to avoid the collision, but unfortunately I rode right into it. Ah! Oh! That's irritating. So let's try this new Focke-Wulf. But yes, as I was saying, spinning around each other in a gigantic circle is sort of an inevitability with aerial engagements, at least between two fighters. Because if you spin in a gigantic circle, you are both essentially tailing each other. And as long as that happens, neither of you is in a disadvantageous position. As soon as one of you tries going straight, the other can just move straight on in to hit you in the arse. And if you are hit in the arse by a quartet of 20mm cannons, you will really not be enjoying that. Ideally, I will be demonstrating on Schulze here, if I can close. Oh my. This AA defense is quite remarkable. There we are. Schulze, having been hit in the arse by 20mm cannons, is now dead. Initially, they were simply on fire, but now the flames have progressed to death. Oh my. And I have been hit by what I can only assume are 88mm flak cannons. I'm really quite distressed. This is a significant cause for concern. But fortunately my teammates appear to have mostly come to my salvation. I say mostly because I've already lost one wingtip, and there we are. I have been eliminated by Schulze in return for eliminating them. That's... I don't hold any particular grudge for that. I did sort of take them out first. So, let's bring in our Ju-87D5. This is... Well, the Ju-87 was one of the most famous ground attack aircraft of the Second World War. You may know it as the Stuka. Now, it was called as such because of the distinctive sound that it made on a nosedive. And it nosedived quite often. It was a dedicated dive bomber.
Enemy aviators are attacking our base. We will stop them.
So, what I'm going to do is fly along a bit and then perform a dive bomb on that destroyer that I have selected right there. So we are at 4 kilometers height, it's 7 kilometers away, a little less now, so if anyone is mathematically minded, you can work out my horizontal distance to it. And now, as my airspeed increases, we're already coming up on 400 miles per hour. We should start hearing our screamy siren. Well, sadly no siren, but we do have a dead destroyer, which... more or less sufficient. Unfortunately, we have no wing, so we were able to neutralize a ground target, but we were very quickly taken out by a heavy fighter. Now, as you can see, I have 3 backup Stukas, but I'm going to instead switch across to this heavy fighter of my own, the DO-217J1. Now, it is also more or less a hybrid bomber. I do have 8 bombs. I believe they are only 50kg bombs, which, in terms of aerial combat, really are just an only. Especially given that there are 8 of them. That's 400kg of bombs just on this plane, and it is really a light load. As we can see, we've managed to set our target on fire. And unfortunately, someone else managed to confirm the kill. But we did quite a significant amount of damage and were able to secure a kill assist, which, in aerial combat of this level, I'm reasonably happy with. I'm not... To be honest, I'm really quite bad at air combat at this level.
Are attacking our base. We must stop them.
But... well, I managed 5th place. 5th place isn't the worst on the team. It's... reasonably respectable. And with it, we have a battle trophy, giving me a thoroughly useless item. I have the Jack of all trades order, which is be the first to destroy 3 enemy vehicles of different classes. And of course, only player vehicles are counted, so that's never going to happen. But it does provide a 10,000 lion reward in arcade, or 15,000 in realistic. Given that the option to the left of it, in fact the 2 options to the left of it, were both 100,000 lions, I would have much preferred those. So now we can see I have some upgrades for my 190A1 and my 87D5. Yes, that is how aerial battles in War Thunder tend to go. At least with me involved. You fly around for a bit, you shoot at them. Occasionally, if you're particularly lucky, you can attack the objective and can have a meaningful impact on the scoreboard. That unfortunately didn't happen in our second battle there. So who knows what we'll be doing next time. If you have any particular requests, please do let me know, and I'll do my best to accomplish them. This will probably be my last War Thunder episode for a little while. I'll be moving the Wednesday and Sunday... Is it a Wednesday and Sunday or a Wednesday and Saturday? I think it's a Wednesday and Sunday slot. Yes. I'll be moving a Wednesday and Sunday slot to XCOM 2, so stay tuned for that new series. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.